for coming to today's conversation. I have these conversations to bring community together because I really feel when people can come together in conversation and to be able to share what they see, we all have the potential and the opportunity to expand our understanding and live more peacefully with each other. So, in today's conversation, called Challenges and a Vacation Mindset Makes It All Easier. I wanted to have this conversation to be able to point you in the direction of what we all possess, which is an ability to bounce back and to choose. So, thank you for coming to the conversation, and I hope you find something very useful to your life. Well, thank you for making time to come and to participate. And what I'll do is I'll share the insight that I had around this topic that had me even offer this topic. And then I would love to open the floor for anybody to share what's on your mind, what you hear, if you have a question, and make it very much like we're all just sitting down somewhere and grabbing a coffee and circling up just to meet up. So that's kind of the format that I like to have. So if that's all good with you, then we'll get cooking. Is that good? Today's conversation is titled Challenges and a Vacation Mindset Makes It All Easier. So this is how it came to me. And I like to speak about things that I see as real from my own experience. Because if I can speak from my own experience, it's not an idea for me. It's something I really, really saw for me. Doesn't mean it's a match for anybody. It just means it's something that looks real to me. So, as a lot of you know, I do a big workshop in Taos twice a year. And it's funny, I've done them for over 20 years, but I always um I see now I was not aligned with the nature of a workshop. And it's like, okay, what do I mean by that? It's like the nature of 35 people coming together from around the world to meet in one place and do one thing has a lot of moving parts. Well, all these moving parts, um, my mind wanted to set it up that if I did enough, if I prepared enough, if I looked for every hole in the system, that I could eliminate any possibility of things going awry. Okay. Well, like I said, I might be slow on the uptick, but it took me about 20 years. And so this year, this year, I was like, okay, I was like at this fork in the road because I couldn't see it. I was like, okay, either I have to use this innate creative potential that we all possess to do this differently, or I'm gonna stop doing it because the stress was too much. Okay. And I'll say the stress was too much in that I I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't aligned with the nature of things. And when I say the nature of things, that things can just go off plan. Whatever I think I planned, it can find a way to go off plan. So, so this past September, I said, okay, I said, I love doing this. So there's got to be another way to do this where it is not uh does not have an element of struggle. I said there has to be a way to do it. So that was wonderful that it occurred to me going, okay, if you love to do something, why would you take it off your plate? Just because there's the nature of it, the unpredictable nature of it. So I got real curious about, okay, all right, all right. So when I headed up there in September, I said, okay, I'm going to really see this as me being on vacation in Taos, New Mexico for 2 weeks. And it just put that mindset in place as the point on the map, kind of like, when you send somebody a location on, on your phone, it's like, okay, here's my pin in the map. It's going to be a vacation mindset. And so as wacky as it seems, every about 10 days before the workshop, and every one of those 10 days after I said that decision to have a vacation mindset, the shit show began. I don't know how else better to say. It's like things I never imagined could go wrong started going wrong. And then it was like a crescendo clunk. Every day it got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. It's like this fell off, that fell off, this can't happen, that can't happen. Even like to the day before, it was like an integral participant in this situation said, I just can't do it. I just can't do it. I'm like, what? It's like, that's not an option in my box. We have 30 people coming in. The option of saying, oh, I just can't do it was, so I said, and so every one of those times I said, wait a minute, wait a minute. I've made a decision to have a vacation mindset with this. I said, but I had to keep coming back to that. And when I came back to like the vacation mindset, I'd get a fresh piece of information. And the fresh piece of information is, whoa, I'm not trusting the process. I'm not in charge of anything other than what what to get myself to New Mexico and to have paint stirred and have brushes, and technology. That's other than that, it's a wild card. So I said, I'm really not trusting the flow of life. I'm certainly not trusting the process. And I could see how I would have a foot in both camps. And it either go up to my head about fear of like, oh my God, how's this all going to work? How's this going to work out? And this isn't supposed to be happening. And they're not supposed to be doing this. And this isn't the way how come nobody shows up like they say they're supposed to show up? I mean, all the head thinking on it, all the truly believability that um, in order to make something happen, I think I have expectations, but I had the depth I saw about the expectations was that I thought those expectations had to be met to be able to pull this thing off. Okay. And I also thought that um, that there that like again, like I left off that I took too much responsibility and left it up to me. Somehow my mind had made it my responsibility to make this happen and not to trust the flow or trust the process. So as these things, as these little Scud missiles would drop in my lap, I'd kind of by the 10th day, I kind of went, it didn't kick me off. I just kind of felt like at that point that whoever's in charge is really testing to see if I'm serious about living in a vacation mindset and to get kicked off. And so what I'm pointing to is this is like when that would happen and I really saw that I had a choice to not be in the struggle of the unknown. There was a choice point that I hadn't seen in years past. I had a choice point of like, okay, how, not in a shameful way, but how foolish of me to think things just fall into place like dominoes, when they do those dominoes in those big productions and everything falls into place and the ball drops into the cup and all that good stuff. I was like, I really had a lack of understanding that that it doesn't happen that way. That really is like a false understanding that things fall into place in the way that I think they should. And if they don't, then A, I'm responsible, and B, I'm going to suffer. I'm going to let it ruminate on what could I have done? What could I have done differently? Why didn't I think about that? This shouldn't be happening. They should show up different. So I just say that because at that on the ninth of the 10th days when these giant little things were falling apart in front of me, and I was going, but I made a choice. I made a choice to be in a vacation mindset. I made
Yeah.
a choice. So I said, I can either ruminate on everything my mind thinks should be happening, shouldn't be happening, and stay in that loop, or I could I could go back and really take that breath and choose a vacation mindset. Now, a long time ago, I had the realization that if I shut my eyes and thought about puppies and the smell of puppies, if I had puppies and when you smell a puppy and they're like, you just get your heart swells, or if you're a puppy person, maybe if you're a kitty person, but you know what I mean? And you have the full experience of that puppy licking your face and its little pink belly and all that. If you close your eyes, think into it. And I knew that was a place where you can pick an experience if you want it. And you can pick a puppy experience, or I could close my eyes and think about the things that scare me the most, like people dying and, you know, living as a tin cup lady on the corner, whatever, whatever it was. And I would be flooded with that experience as well. So I was like, I knew that a long time ago, but it took me a good 10 or 15 years for it to ripen, for me to see that I could see it at any moment. I can choose it looks like suffering was a choice, and I know that kind of sounds like a platitude, or I saw that there was another reality to live in the midst of any circumstance, you know, in any circumstance. And so I have to say, as this workshop unfolded in September, there were fresh ideas that I hadn't had for 20 years that showed up. I mean, and I had no clue how they were going to go. And I even announced it to the group, going, you know what? It's a fresh inspiration. And I'm teeing it up. I don't know if it's going to be good or not, but let's see. And every person in the workshop showed up to do it, and then it was a big hit. And then it was like that was almost like a validation from whoever's in charge, going, trust the process. The more you relax into, and for me, it was vacation mindset, but the more you relax, the more will be given. The more you relax, the more will be given. And,
Wow.
and I just saw it. I was like, more and more and more, that the highest purpose we can have in any moment is a choice to relax with what is. The choice to relax. And it's like I can go to my mind anytime I want, because that's where fear and anxiety and upset and shame and blame and right and wrong exists. Or I can take a breath and find a place to relax just as these circumstances are, and really disconnect from the idea that my circumstances are going to influence my state of being. It kind of sounds dramatic, but I always used to go back to, like, in our lifetimes, we've heard about all these POWs, whether it was Vietnam or Iran or Iraq, and all these things where people were in captivity, and they said that they found the greatest level of peace that they ever had in the worst possible circumstances. And that was always a mystery to me, a mystery to me. And this is by no means I mean, I'm not minimizing their experience, but I'm also pointing to that place about anytime we really feel our circumstances are dictating what I'm feeling, I think we can get some additional understanding in that, uh, it's not coming from there. It's not coming from the things that are going wrong. It's not coming from the things I didn't see. It's not coming from, geez, the right and the wrongness of anything. But underneath all of that, or even just a um, leaning on the other foot where everything is, that the possibility of being at peace and without struggle exists right now. And I still kind of shake my head going, I can't believe how well it worked out when I got out of my head about the whole thing. I still am in shock about it, and it was just delightful and kind of gobsmacked in seeing a completely fresh reality and a completely fresh experience just by enlisting what I see to be true is that we all have an innate creative potential to get the answers we're seeking within ourselves. Now, when we enlist, I'll say enlist them because it's like that vacation mindset was a kind of a pipe dream in the beginning. And then it just, by this innate creative potential, it just kept coming closer. And it would give me more information on that and more understanding about the possibility and then having the experience. So each of us have this creative potential. We can use it any way we want to. It's like a tool in our toolbox. But I think it's so helpful to really know you possess it, to really know it's part of all of us. All of us. It's not nobody else, nobody got a dose and you didn't. But we all have this innate creative potential, and how do I want to use it? Do I want to use it going into worry and fear, or do I want to use it to support the experience that I'll say what I would prefer to have? Because if I really wanted to be more peaceful, I know that that's going to feed me more information. One is very expanding and one is very contracting. It's kind of like when you park on the water hose, it's going to stop the flow. And if we really know that the scary stuff's in our head and the potential is in the moment, it's just to me a more of an understanding of how it works. So like it's just what comes to mind that I wanted to share, that it gobsmacked me and I just wanted to share it in a conversation as to point to the pure potential behind life inside each and every one of us, and how seductive our mind sets it up that if things were different, I could feel better. So not true, but, but it's so clever. Nothing need be better or different for you to feel peaceful right now, or whatever your desired feeling is, whatever it is. What is anybody's desired experience more of the time? If you were even just to verbalize it, what would it be for you?
Well, recently I was thinking on this topic. Your title of this talk got my attention because I'd been thinking about like missing feeling more of the way I used to feel back when I was younger, before kind of a series of tough events came my way. And I thought, man, I miss that feeling of feeling at ease and feeling peaceful, and kind of what you said about that vacation mindset of like I looked forward, like, well, what's the weekend going to bring? What are we going to do? Before all these other concerns, crept in. And I wrote it out, the name the feelings that I wanted to have more of. And that to me was kind of like that vacation mindset. And how can I connect more with that and leave space more for that in my day? How can I wake up in the morning and think about that first and try to be in that first, instead of letting my to-do list immediately just run off with my mind. So yeah, that's what it was like more joy, more ease, more peace, more quiet, more kind of anticipation of, adventures and things like that. So I've been making a conscious effort lately to just take time for that every day and to be in those feelings when I feel life pulling me off, to kind of consciously pause and then say, hey, I want to, come back, come back and just give yourself a moment to reconnect with those feelings. And it's helped a lot. It's helped a lot with my mindset.
That's fabulous. There's an intentionality to it, just to
Yeah,
to know it that the possibility is there. And that's kind of what these conversations are for, to really know that the possible, what helped me too is like there are other people that these same things happen to, and how come they're not suffering like I am? How come they take it in stride? It's no big deal, So that kind of got said. So, well, okay, so there is a reality or a million out there where this isn't a problem. Whatever it is my mind was getting hung up on, it's like there are places out there where this isn't a problem. So, show me how to get over there, wherever it is in my head, and then I would start to see it was like, oh, all I have to do is get on that ladder and climb out of my mind, and I'm in a better place.
for sure. For sure. And I think the idea you mentioned about that pure creativity and that potential, and I thought about like it's kind of the difference between me laying my template over the day and allowing the day to lay its template over me, and I can choose to cooperate with that better and connect with it. Seems to work better than when I'm just saying, okay, this is how I want it to be, which very seldom works out that way most of the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, and I love that. I love that. And I love the idea of like going, okay, this was my idea of the ideal template, but maybe there's another one that's better. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. And it's kind of nice to feel more like a co-creator with it. I think for me, it just feels better. It takes some pressure off too. Like, oh, I have to create all this. Like, no, there's actually something already going on there, and I can maybe try to navigate and how to best to like connect with that.
Exactly, aligned to it. Kind of like that what I was thinking about. Boy, what a misunderstanding I had in my own head that this is how things are supposed to go. But in reality, you know, people get sick, flights don't make it. What I mean, it's like that aligned to the reality of like, okay, but this is happening now in real time, and my fiction of my mind, it's not in real time. It's just a fictionalized story in my mind that's not related at all to real time and what's
Yeah,
really happening in the nature of life, where the old shit happens comes into play.
yeah. And oh my gosh, you guys, what do we do when we're on vacation, right? It's like,
We
oh, the
roll
flight was
with it.
canceled. We deal with it. We adjust. Like, oh, I'm on vacation. It's an adventure. But then when we're out of that mindset, we're like, oh, it's such a pain. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. Once we get back behind the steering wheel and we think we're steering, you know what I mean? Like, and it's up to me, it's up to me, it's up to me, it's up to me. It's like, no, 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 don't have that superpower. Anything else come to mind for anybody? Just in that. So I think too, if you're gonna be around people, now through the end of the year, if you're going to be around people that you might have a lot of history with, which means there might have a whole lot of old stories with that, maybe if we divest of those old stories and see if there's space to see something, be much more invested in what you don't know about these people versus what you're so convinced of. The in the mind is like it's something to play with. It is something to play with. But I think the bottom line is, if you really decide you're not going to suffer, regardless, you're not gonna, you're gonna just make it. See if you can see if in those moments you can make another choice. Maybe it's possible, maybe it's not for where, for what you see, but it doesn't change the fact that it is possible. Totally is possible.
It's kind of like if you can look at it maybe from curiosity or a fresh perspective, like fresh.
Brilliant,
Yeah.
brilliant, brilliant. You know, if I just kind of see too, like my mind is like a politician. It really has an agenda to sell me on something, the impossible people, the right people, the wrong people, the this people, that it has a real politician flavor and it talks a good talk and can convince me. And then I find that, you know, maybe it was just a facade. No. And then something happens that it wasn't at all true what my mind made up. So it's like, oh, okay. So my mind is just a politician. In reality, I could see something very different if I know that my mind has an agenda for whatever it is, you know, whatever it is. Maybe it just wants to I don't know, make me right, make them wrong. I don't know. You know? But what if that's not helpful, and just living more peaceful? Yeah. So does anybody have any questions on any topic that you'd like to just throw in the mix while we're sitting and sipping?
From what you just said, the word that just came to my mind is safety. Like we think that if we think it all, it'll be safe if we work it out. And then all of a sudden it's unknown. Is it safe to kind of flow in this thing? And it is, but somehow the mind doesn't quite know that. I mean,
Yes.
and I'm thinking what you're presenting is something wonderful and radical. It's radical if I were able to adopt it or at least try to adopt it, which I could. I used to give these presentations and I've been asked to give another type of presentation and there's all these things. Will they like it? Will they not like it? Will it work? And then, and that's holding me back from actually doing it. All this fear, will it work out? Will they like it? Will it be? And then rather than just going and doing and seeing what happens.
That's beautifully stated. I mean, you really do see you can start to see the games that go on that just separate us from following the next inspiration or the next invitation. It's like, well, we would accept all kind of invitations to do things we've never done before. If it's like, I got nothing on it, if they like me, they don't like me. If I walk in with toilet paper stuck on my shoe or whatever, it's like, who cares?
Ago, there was a very creative woman I knew, and she said to me, "Do whatever you want to do because you're going to be dead a long time." And, and that was a greatest. And I didn't know she had cancer. I didn't know that she was not well.
Oh,
But that was just so she was dying, but I didn't know. But just that thought, we're going to be dead a long time. What are we holding all this back? And you're sort of giving a bridge, just sort of like trust that you can do it.
totally. Totally. But you won't be given those pieces. I think we think we're supposed to get a download and then have a master plan and then engage. Of every step that's going to be needed for it to work out well. And I don't know about y'all, but I feel like we're all little Hansel and Gretel's, where we start walking and we don't have a clue except we're going to take a step now and then a crumb will get dropped. And our mind's going nuts, going, really? Really? Can't you give me 3 or 4 steps before? And can you give them to me now? And it's like, maybe some days it works that way, but more times than not, it's like, wait till you got to take that next step, and then I'll give you the next instruction. But you can start to walk with an understanding, like I may not know now, but I'm going to walk in the direction, and I'll get something.
Right.
It will happen. I mean, I think that both of those things point back to the how do we want to use this pure creative potential that we possess to generate fears and struggle or going, I don't know, but I will know.
I like that. I don't know, but I will know. I like that.
Yeah, it's courage.
I think it's understanding. I think it's more understanding in the sense of like it's not, and I don't even like the word trust, because the trust is like, well, I'm hoping. It's like, no, this is the way it works, like gravity. It really does. Every human being has the potential for a fresh thought without question. I
Me
don't have
too.
to trust anything. It's just the way that it works
But until you engage in it, you don't know that, right? Until you actually do it.
till you test the system,
You
you know,
test.
because we're too trusting of the mind that I don't have what it takes, or it's too trusting of the mind that there's something scary in that. We're too trusting of what our politician is selling us.
Ooh, and now that's what I've kind of found to be useful is in order to feel trusting to and to follow those breadcrumbs, I have to allow myself some time to listen and some space and a pause or something to clear that space so I can hear or see whatever is kind of looks like it's coming next. That's to me a real critical piece of it.
Mm-hmm. 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 Which goes back to like these things to me, they flow easier the more relaxed I am.
Mhm.
Or just have a desire to be more relaxed. Even if I'm yanked up, it's like I don't have a desire to be more fearful. I have a desire to be more relaxed. So um at least I feel like I'm oriented to a peaceful direction. Even if I'm having that moments of turbulence, I'm oriented to doing it without struggle. And show me more of that.
Hmm. And it's kind of like, how much am I willing to like open the faucet kind of a thing? If I'm really going to trust, am I going to kind of close it and only let a little bit come through? Am I really going to open it up and see what I'm presented with and what I can do with that?
Hmm.
Mm,
Which I think can help. What can help in that is really kind of pointing to my relationship with discomfort. If I don't get scared by discomfort, I'm like, okay, I can, I don't need, because I'm uncomfortable, that it's not telling me I've made a bad choice. So I was just kind of just thinking as we wind down, it's like, even if you were going to bring it into today and just kind of choose how you're going to experience the rest of this day, regardless of how it unfolds.
mm,
Just choose it, knowing that you're good, knowing that you're supported, knowing you'll be given what you need in the moment. And if it doesn't come, you're, you still can have the experience that you can choose, you know? There's a reality where nothing you face today is going to be a problem for somebody. So go to that reality and give
mm.
it a try. I love what you said too, and about we're going to be dead for a long time, you know? So it's like, wait a minute, it's kind of like I can either sit here and worry about how long am I going to live and how am I going to die, or I could go enjoy life today. Let me go find something that's fun. It's like, wow, they're both choices.
Right.
Aw,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
wow, what if we had a little bit of this vacation mindset every day?
Yeah.
There, it's on offer. Take it off the shelf. It's what I say.
That's-
Definitely.
Yeah.
I was thinking too about hope. It made me think about how I view hope because that's one I've always kind of, I don't know, struggled with a little bit. But I think what it maybe comes down to for me is when I'm in one of those really low moments and I can't see a way through it, that hope gives me the feeling there's something maybe beyond what I can see, beyond what I'm aware of, another potential of some kind, and that just in itself helps me get through. Like, I don't know all the answer. I can't see what all
Yeah.
the possibilities are, but maybe there's something just a little beyond what I can see as possible.
Mhm.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I think that would be my definition of hope too, is that there is possibility that,
Yeah.
possibility exists. Because hope was that word just, and I love how you had set it up for people to be curious about how do other people hold the words they're saying, instead of them just assuming that they are defining hope the way I define hope or define trust the way it's like, how great is that in a conversation starter to understand how they're seeing what looks real to them and what they're talking about, you know? And so hope was always like, okay, if I'm a good girl and I
Yeah.
work hard and I ask for the right things, you know what I mean? And I did get the tap dance right, and I can hope I'll be graced with blessings or something. It's like, oh my God, no. It's like, I just want to really hold hope. Feeling hopeful to me is like just knowing there's possibilities that could be presented that I haven't seen. So it's not hope like I'm sitting on the sideline waiting. It's just knowing that there's potential that I'm not seeing or haven't seen yet. And what great news is that? Well, sweet, guys. I'm so glad y'all came for the conversation today. I'm so grateful to each and every one of you. It's wonderful.
It was good.
Yeah, and we can take this into the holidays coming as well. Now that it's holiday time, without things having to be the way we think that they should be. I mean, to have it be a vacation mindset. Let's see what happens, what magic happens.
Hmm.
That's true. That's true. Because, if you decide ahead of time that, golly, you decide they're going to be a shithead, your mind's only going to let you see the shithead part of them. Yeah. Not to be too potty mouth, but I'm like going, if you think they're going to be stubborn, they're going to show up and you're only going to see the stubborn in that person. Even if it doesn't exist, you're only going to see stubborn in that person.
Right.
Exactly. Exactly. Again, it's wide open.
Mm.
Yeah. If you're planning your menu, that could be on your menu, how you can experience it. I'll pick
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Order it up from the kitchen. Yeah. I love it. Well, all right. Thank you guys for coming. I'm very grateful for the people who participate and share what they see to be real, what they see to be true, and also to be able to have the venue for conversation. And I extend that appreciation to you for listening. And I hope you found something helpful and beneficial to the conversation.